What's up, everybody, and welcome to Speak Up. Somebody let me know if you can hear my voice. I appreciate it if you do that. That way we can start everything properly. Good evening, good evening. What's up, everybody? I'm Sean Marcus, and this is Speak Up. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming. Now, tonight is a special night, right? It's a parenthood night. It's a fatherhood night, and I'm big on fatherhood. One of the best things in my life is being a father. Now, speaking of that, let me shout out to my man, Alan Irvin. What's up, Al? Alan Irvin has a show that's called I Am Father. Check him out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of your social media. I Am Father by Alan Irvin. Great guy, talks about fatherhood and the importance of. But tonight I'm going to come in and talk about it a little bit more myself, right? And this is something that my kids wanted to do. They've been talking to me, Dad, we want to do a show. We want to talk about fatherhood. It's an important issue. So I'm going to tune in as well to see what they got to say, right? Do we really know what our kids will say about us? Are they really getting the information that we're trying to teach them? Are we teaching them correctly? Are we having issues? Those are the things that we would discuss tonight on Speak Up. Now, it's been a while since I played this, but I miss it. So before we start the show, let's hit that intro. Hey, all right, so we're back. Now, welcome in YouTube. What's up, YouTube? I'm Sean Marcus. Positive show about love, relationships, community upliftment, and therefore in people upliftment. So hey, check me out. Just getting started on YouTube, so I need you guys to help me grow. Is that cool? But definitely, I want you to understand that this is a positive show. I keep it 100% real, but it's a very positive show. And tonight, we're speaking on the benefits of having fathers in the home. So usually I start with whatever my promo was for the week, and here it is.
Perspective on our children. But today, too young. On the next episode of Speak Up with Sean Marcus. As parents, we often give our perspective on our children. But today, two young adults will give the perspective of growing up with a father in the home. Tune in tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. This will definitely be something to remember.
All right, guys. All right. All right, here we go. So, further ado, here we go. And here's Sean and Kennedy with their segment on the benefits of having a father in the home.
Welcome to Speak Up with Sean Marcus.
And go. What's up, guys? Sean Fowler here, host of Speak Up Sports, but this is a Speak Up edition, I guess we should say. And it's about fatherhood, fatherhood. And I know Father's Day was, a few weeks ago, but I think the topic of fatherhood is always important. Me and my dad, we've been definitely talking about trying to bring this subject about, trying to talk about fatherhood and the importance of fatherhood. So now, why not give our dad some kudos? He's a great father, and we're going to talk about, how important fatherhood is to me and my sister Kennedy. This is Kennedy Fowler. You've probably seen her on one of the interviews for Speak Up 2 a while back. She's going to put some more work in as well. Obviously I do Speak Up Sports, and that will be coming back soon as well with more interviews and conversations like that. But again, like I said, today's subject is about fatherhood. So, me and Kenny, like I said, we're just going to talk about our dad some. We believe both, of course, having a mother in the house is important as well, parenthood, but today's strictly about fatherhood. So, Kennedy, I just want to ask you, what are some qualities maybe from daddy, or just, I guess, from a daughter's perspective, or just your perspective that, what's important with fatherhood coming from, your perspective?
Well, yeah, I feel like the importance in having a father in the home is just, one, it really showed me the qualities of, one, what to look for, obviously, in a guy, a man, a potential husband, relationships.
Yeah.
Because, and that's like your first, like they say, your first love, whatever.
Coming from a guy, right?
Yeah, coming from a guy, and it's like if the standards are up here with the father, then you know what to look for in a relationship with a man, or So I feel like that's the most common one, and also just like how you view yourself as a woman. That love from a father will pour over into you, and like, okay, if my father says I'm beautiful, if my father, loves me, and just having that father in your life and in the household, and just to like, and also not only, a dad, a father, a parent, but having that relationship and that bond and that time, and that also plays, because I look to daddy like a friend also, and not just a parent. So it also has that.
No, true. You mentioned strong relationships. So from my guy's perspective, it was the firstborn. It's just me and my sister as far as, my dad's children and stuff. So, me as being a son, my dad obviously he has Speak Up, and that's about community, uplift community. But he talks a lot about love. So I'm probably the first one where he gives some of his experiences or encouragement towards as his son. He can give some experiences and encouragement towards his daughter. Did you want to say something?
Yes, before I forget. Also, it's so good to have a father in your life as far as a woman from a daughter perspective, because he has told me many times, don't mess with this dude. As a man, I already know they're going to be a waste of time. I already know what they're after. You already have that. I mean, a mom can tell you, no, I don't know. I don't feel right, my spirit about this guy. But they're a woman too. They might not have that man, like sensing out another man. Like what? So my dad has definitely helped me a lot in that department.
Yeah, and like I was gonna say, similar with the relationships, with daddy. I mean, he'd give me encouragement of, oh, maybe you should say this, or watch out for this, or things like that. Like he said, man, I know the game. The cliche is the game the players may change, but the game remains the same. That's an old cliche that y'all heard of. Y'all probably made it up. I mean, y'all like some of his followers from 70s, 80s. I don't know. The point is this though. So the point is this. So like my dad definitely, when it comes to relationships, I mean, he definitely give a lot of encouragement, and just say be a certain way, just be yourself, but just you got to do a little smooth in certain things. I'm not gonna go into our examples, but my dad is definitely he always said, hey, you're a handsome looking man, you need to go out, hey, look, believe me, if I look like you when I was
confident booster.
Yeah, confident booster, really encouraging and stuff. So my dad, when it comes to relationships, it's always fun. It's fun, and it's a little funny because that's who I am, and certain things he might say that's like, I feel like the times are different. But my dad is, the point though, having like Candy said, really, I think from a girl's perspective, just as much is important because, like, it is some guys out there that probably don't have the best interest as of right now, being young, going through the teenage years and the early 20s, you know what I mean? So my dad can definitely point that out, like Candy mentioned. From my end, it's just, again, it's not just relationships, but it's being a man. What does it mean to be a man? And the courtship, if we're talking still relationships. Of course, the basic, hold the door for a woman, let them first, if we're out to dinner, let them say what they need to say first. These things you would think, hey, this is obvious, but who teaches that usually? Usually it's the dad that teaches that. Now obviously if the dad isn't around, the mom might mention that, but the mom only knows because the man probably did it for her or her father. So that's why fatherhood, definitely when it comes from a relationship standpoint, is always important, because again, these are certain things that's the status quo. A man should open the door for a woman. I understand a lot of other things are happening today's age, but you just always expect that. You know what I mean? So my dad definitely, it's fun. It's kind of funny, like I mentioned, with the relationship things, some advice he might say, but it makes sense at the end of the day. So going from there, Kenny, transitioning, you mentioned bond. I know with both of us, and you can start again, but like, why is bond important? Why is it kind of important that you, Daddy, have that bond, again, from your perspective?
Yeah, so like I said, not anybody can be a parent, but it takes more to have like that connection with your child. Like you actually, because you might know all about your kid because you had the baby. You've been there from the time that they were born, before they even entered the world. So you know everything. You know their first steps, their first words, their first everything, but they don't know you. The kid doesn't know you. They don't know when you were born. They don't know your favorite ice cream. They don't know any of that. As a parent, you would know what your kid's favorite cereal is because you're the one that buys it for them. You're the one that sees it. But as a parent, like, it's important for your kid to know you as well. And, so like I said, I have friends who, they're like, oh wow, you're that close with your dad, you're that close with your mom, like you tell them so much, or you're just so comfortable around them like a friend. And I'm like, yeah, but it's because they just view their parent as a parent, like, oh, they're just my mom or my dad. Like I strictly just talk to them about, they might want, sometimes they could view their parent as like a burden or just a parent. But I think it's important to have that bond and that relationship with your dad, with your mom, because one, you won't view them that way, but also it's like, it's just more a connection. And like, me and my dad, I've always loved my dad, but it wasn't until like middle school when it was just me and him, and we went to St. Louis, us two.
Y'all did?
Yes. For like 2 weeks, we spent time there, and that was my first time like actually hanging out with him. Because before that, he's always at work. I was just really close to my mom, and me and my mom spent time, watching Lifetime together, going shopping, whatever. So that was our bond, our connection. I saw my dad at home, loved him, of course. I knew he was there. He was in the household. But this is why it's important for you to not only just be present, but be present in your child's life. Because you could be in the household, you could see your dad every day, but you know absolutely nothing about them, and you feel like they don't know nothing about you. So it wasn't until we went to St. Louis, and I was like, wow, like that trip really changed our dynamic and our bond and our relationship. And me and my dad always bonded over Christmas, but that only happens once a year. So it was like, although we have something in common, we both enjoy the holidays and Christmas and gifts and the whole thing, but there needs to be more than that. So after we left for that trip, I found out more about him, where he came from, our family, and he found out probably more about me. We found out we liked
individual, right?
Right, we found out we liked a lot of the same foods. Like, it was just like a whole new, like, oh wow, this is my dad. I really, really love him. Like, so like I said, it's more than just being present in the household. Like, you have to actually be involved in your child's life, and that is also a reason why I feel comfortable to come to my parents about certain things or stuff, because just like a best friend, you know all about your best friend, and you feel like you can confide in them the same way with the parent.
Yeah, that's good that you mentioned that, Kenny. Like you said, I mean, for my bond with my dad, I mean, I always say like my dad is like my best friend in a way, and I might say, oh, all the comments and stuff, but it's kind of true. You know, I mean, you know, I grew up playing football. The first thing my dad said is, "That's my football player." You know, that's what he told me. That's the stories that I've heard, and other people who's in the hospital at the time. But you know, that was like the first thing. So going to football practice every day since I was 6 years old. I mean, it's just me and my dad. And my dad, you know, he teach me how to play football, tackle, all these things. So we just had a connection there, and of course, not only playing football, but watching football. That's why to speak up sports. It's easy to talk about. Like I always mention, every time I mention the Cowboys, automatically my dad. I can't think of the Cowboys without my dad.
Yeah.
No matter what topic, no matter if I'm in California, I don't know why I picked that state, but if I'm across the country, whichever, and I'm thinking about the Cowboys, oh, what would Daddy think of this? Because he's a diehard Cowboys fan. He's a nut when it comes to that. But the point though is that, you know, so like that's where our bonding, I feel like, really started with football, and then of course, like we mentioned the other segment, relationships. So now it's just, I'm just, you know, blessed to have good parents, but of course, you know, my dad, like he's really open, and that makes the bond tighter because it's like, you know, he's not really a judgmental parent, you know what I mean? He's open, and he's really good at listening, and it makes the child more, you want it, like it makes him more comfortable to even say stuff, even if you know, certain things you still don't want to say because it's your parent, you know, it's not just a straight friend, but at the same time, it's like, well, if I want to say it, I know I could talk to Daddy about it, you know, and he wouldn't mind talking about that, but it's cool, and I wanted my sister to be in this too, because obviously that's his other child, but like, you know, it's like, I never, like Kenny mentioned, about them going to St. Louis, like, I never really see the dynamic of just him and my sister, because when I went to school, you know, it was just, they were back at home before she graduated high school, so I don't see them talking as one-on-ones, you know, unless it's Christmas time or something like that. So, you know, it's cool to hear your perspective, Kenny, on like the bonding with Daddy and stuff, because you look probably more like Daddy than I do, you know, and yeah, so it's all jokes aside, it's cool to see how, you know, sometimes we might have inside jokes about my dad, and you know, it's like he say the same exact thing that he said to me to Candy, and I didn't even notice, and so we might have little inside jokes about my dad and stuff like, oh, he did that too, like, because we're only like 3-4 years apart, but you know, he still treats us the same. So, you know, that bonding is definitely big. And I guess one of the other segments, like, so like, I guess bonding and trust can go in the same type of things, but so we talk about relationships, how it's good to have in the bonding. Oh yeah, Kenny mentioned too, like not everybody's parent is like that. And to be honest, that is true. Like, you know, I got a lot of my parents or a lot of my friends, like it's like they view their parents as just parents. Like, oh, I don't want to say dictatorship, because I'm not gonna say like all of them like are just like strict parents. But I mean, just sticking towards the fatherhood part. Like, I mean, our dad he'll get on you, but like if he ever gets on us growing up, you know, like fussing at us or something, like he'll always come back. Yeah, it's for a reason, but he'll always come back and like explain why he said something. Like he always say, let's peel back the layers, and I want you to understand why. So I don't let you just feel like a piece of crap, you know, because you know, and if our dad says something like, you call our name Sean, it's like you just know it's something like and everybody used to like friends and family and stuff used to be like, Dad is always look serious. And you know, it is that kind of like, I remember he used to come home from work and have his suit on and stuff. His briefcase is just like the hard shoes and the belt. It's like, it's 5 o'clock, get the garage open. If I knew if our mom at that time, or just this period, saying like, daddy coming home, it's like, it's just that respect or reverence, I should say, with Dad. But what are you about to say?
I was gonna say that also. I just want to make sure it's still recording. We can edit this out.
Good.
Okay, yeah. 14 minutes.
This air just goes out. Do you think we should turn the laundry room off?
No, it's fine. We can edit back up. You probably wouldn't really be able to hear it. But I was gonna say, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because I was on TikTok, and a lot of times, like, people make these videos like how they would react whenever their dad would come home, and like before their dad would come home, they would be downstairs, watching TV. Then they hear the garage open, they're just like, oh. Then you go upstairs because you don't even want to be bothered. And I'm just like, and a lot of people in the comments were like, yep, that was me, like, oh, like, just really agreeing with it. And I was just like, interesting, because when I think about it, and this is why it's just so important to, like, as a father, be present in your kid, not only be present in your life, but build that bond and that relationship. Because when I would hear the garage open, I would run downstairs and be like, Daddy's home. I would be so excited. Like, yes, you'd be like, oh, Daddy's home. Like, it's more like the respect and stuff, but it's also exciting because just like a friend, when your friend been gone all day, or your significant other, and then you see that they're home, you're excited to see them, you're excited to hear about their day, you're excited to tell them about your day. So when I saw that on TikTok, I was just like, I couldn't relate with it, because it wasn't like my dad wasn't a burden, or he's not a burden, and he wasn't annoying. Because a lot of people view their parents as annoying, a burden, oh, they just don't let me live. It's because they just don't have that relationship with them. And another thing you mentioned is, like, also, I mean, the father could try to build a relationship with them, but it's something that happened that it, like, bruised it. Like, I feel like if Daddy wouldn't come back to us after maybe, being disappointed as or yelling at us, and he just left it as it was, the rest of my day, I could just be like, man, he really annoyed me, I don't like him.
Co-grudges, yeah.
And then, but it can build up, like, it could be a repetitive thing. And imagine if he never came back, told us the reason why he, why it was out of love, or why he decided to yell at us. And then I probably wouldn't have had that reaction when my dad came home. I probably would have been the one that went upstairs, because it's like, oh, he just gonna come in here and trip, whatever. I just don't even want to be around it.
Right.
So now some days,
yeah.
I do be like, I'm just gonna go upstairs. I'm just gonna stay upstairs for a second, because I don't even want to. I don't even want to be like.
TikTok is a lot.
No, it's just like, but I come back around, because I know it wasn't anything personal, whatever. But yeah.
But no, that's true. That's true. I mean, of course, the bonding, the relationships, and everything. That's huge. And I was gonna have a segment on trust, but I feel like the trust and bond go together. I mean, I can trust that anything I tell my dad, even if it's like kind of major, even I never really been in trouble where it's like I broke some law or nothing like that, or like somebody's pregnant at a young age. I never really had to deal with that. So like the stuff I'm saying is probably like schoolwork. Like, oh man, if I pass the final, I'll pass the class. Those are like my big things I have to tell my dad with, and he'll just be like, ask questions, tutoring. I think you're a smart kid. You just need to put more work in. Whatever it is. So the trust and bonding kind of go hand in hand, but I think it just goes back towards it's having a father in the house. I know my dad, even us having our own conversation, behind the scenes, I should say. Like he always said, like when it comes towards ladies or just even men, like you look at, say, parenthood is important to have, period, because you can see how like it helps introduce, again, like you mentioned in the first segment, like how a man should be, like when you get into a relationship, obviously, and the important things when it comes towards a girl, but parenthood, and really, especially a father, is growing up, like it gives them this rope of, okay, this is the direction we should go. Now, obviously, we've seen they had really good parents that were involved, that were in their life, and their child just ends up getting into trouble anyway, depending on who you hang out with. Yeah. But I do feel like most of the time, there is a father in the house that kind of lays down the law. This is what's going to happen. Not saying mothers can't do that, but when a man says something, it hit different, as people say. It hit different.
The man is the household, the man is the leader of the household or whatever for a reason.
Yeah, so like, exactly. So like, when you have that father in the house, it just, if I'm doing something it's like you automatically would think, let's just say hypothetically, if I'm about to get in trouble or doing something that I shouldn't be doing, you just would think, what would daddy say? Like, what would dad say? Like, growing up, you're a teenager. Even sometimes if you're adult, 2021, like, you know what? I probably need to be more responsible because my dad did warn me about this when I was younger. Now it's actually happening. You know what I mean? So like, you just think back, and again, it can go for the mom as well, but especially that fatherhood, it's just something different with that. And you know, it's just more this respect and reverence, like I said, because it's like you don't want to disappoint dad. And you know, even let's just talk about you real quick, Ken. It might be off script, but even when you say date, it's like how come you're how come it might be like a little different when it comes to like you might mention something with mama, but if you mention something with daddy, when it comes to like dating, kind of slower.
This is because dads don't want to hear a lot about their daughter dating or talking to guys. So I already have that in the back of my head, like okay.
But you can talk to her about anything.
I can, but some dads act like they don't want to hear it. They don't care. So I don't tell.
Uh-oh.
I tell daddy the surface, the important stuff.
Somebody there.
There's somebody there. I might give him some details, but most of the time he just shoots me off. He's like, okay, that's enough. And then he'll come back later and be like, okay, if you actually do like this guy, okay, you can like what? That's literally what he said. We were there one day. But my mom, like, girl talk.
It's different, yeah.
Like, you probably talk to daddy more about specifics with girls, and she got this, she did this, whatever. And daddy like, hey, man, he's like coaching him on, like, hey, go holler at her, or whatever. Because, exactly, that's my answer. Yeah. But it's the same with what, I can talk about the gushy, like.
You can relate to more to the mom.
He told his grandma about me, he did this, he did this, he opened the door. He did all this, the little details, because as a woman, it's like, oh, that's so cute. Oh, you care about the small stuff versus it's like with dad just have to be quick, short, to the point. Okay, he's not treating you bad. Okay, is he in school? Okay, it's just like, okay, perfect example. When I'm talking to daddy about a guy, it's like I'm telling them the resume. The cover letter is with mama. I'm going into detail. X, Y, and Z.
Cover letter.
The cover letter about the guy is with mama, and the resume is with daddy. Bullet points.
Yeah. No, that's funny. It's funny. You're funny. You're funny with that. I mean, that's true. And yeah, I mean, it's our dad is he's an awesome dad, you know, and it's because we can open up to him and like we mentioned a lot, the trust, the bonding relationships, all those things. I feel like, you know, I'm not a dad yet and stuff, but like the important thing I feel like with a parent is being accessible and listening to your children. Because even if you got two, like my dad has, or 3 or 4, you know, you're always going to be accessible and hear what they have to say. Because if you shut them off or you just never want to speak about the boyfriend stuff, that's when some girls rebel and they might be sneaky, you know.
Right.
But can't
and then you can't. Like, the dad is there to pick up on the red flags that the daughter might not be able to.
Exactly.
Because he's a man.
He's a man, exactly. So yeah, it's pretty much almost wrapping this up. But yeah, it's like you said, you know, it's because you're a parent and you're there doesn't always mean you're there. I have friends as well who like their parent might be working hard, 10, 11-hour shifts, getting paid good money and stuff, and they might get Christmas gifts, but it's still always different when you have that bond. You can actually talk to them, that relationship with them. Yeah. So, you know, with our dad, no matter, you know, where he was at, where he was working, he just always had that relationship with us. Took the time. It was Christmas, football, cheerleading, you know, and all those things. So, you know, our dad definitely gets the A++ on being a dad. Is there anything else you want to, any stories, anything else you want to ask me?
Well, I was gonna say this. Also, as a dad, or as a parent, but we're talking about dads, your kids are not the same. So you might do for one kid and, you know, the personalities are totally different. So, you know, talk differently to, not me giving dad advice, but talk differently to each kid. One kid might be more sensitive. One kid might, you know, be more tough. One kid might not like sports. One kid might. You know, actually get to know the child, and that's what the relationship comes from. taking the time out to know each child as individuals. Do not compare, and like take the time, invest in that child, like do things with that child that they like, so.
No, definitely, and it's a little stupid fly, but in our next segment, we're gonna end up interviewing our dad. We got our own personal questions that we want to ask him, maybe some deep ones too. So stay tuned. Again, this is Speak Up. I got the Speak Up shirt under here. I got X-ray vision, so you can't see it. But again, follow us on Speak Up and Speak Up Sports. You see as well. Kenny might be having another interview soon, and stay tuned. So all that being said, I'm Sean Fowler.
Kennedy Fowler.
And peace. Peace.
And my dad would say.
Hey, what's up, America? Thank you for checking out the show. If you like the content and the vibe, come join us. Click on the link below.
All right. Well, that was interesting. It feels good to kind of know that you're doing something well. Can always improve. But that was great. Thank you, kids, for what you said. And hopefully I'll continue to do the best I can throughout whatever days I have left. So I appreciate that. But for everybody else, definitely, let's talk real quick. Like I said, this is Speak Up with Sean Marcus. Positive show, just trying to keep everything in balance. Trying to let us see that we can earn back the respect of each other. For some reason, we've gotten off track. Relationships, marriages, things like that. Bitterness, betrayal, mistrust, abuse. But we can get back. But we have to earn it. We have to speak properly about our women. We have to speak properly about our men. We can't continue to do the diverse thing of breaking each other down and running each other under the bus and just belittling each other. We seriously can't do that. And we can't do that. And I'm not going to go any deeper on those issues today, but I definitely always want to say to fathers, like I always say, if you haven't been there for your child, it's never too late. As long as you have breath in your body, you can make that phone call. If they hang up on you, call back. The whole thing is they need to know that you love them. In the end, you ain't gonna be perfect. None of us are. But if you give them the opportunity to see that you truly love them, it can be awesome. You can change their whole existence, their whole life by just putting in a little bit more time, a little bit more effort. Hey guys, you can't leave that kid out there by themselves, son or daughter. You can't with that mother. That's unfair. That's unfair. That's any race. And I definitely will speak against that. But anyway, you know what, guys? Hopefully you guys got something out of it. Tune in to Speak Up. Hey, on YouTube, go ahead and click the link, share it, help me grow. Everybody that's on my Facebook page, come on out. Click on YouTube. Help me grow. Help something positive grow. I mean, I know we like drama. I like a little drama, but we can kind of make a balance of it, right? Hey, I appreciate it. And kids, I appreciate you. And in the end of the day, peace.
Hey, what's up, America? Thank you for checking out the show. If you like the content and the vibe, come join us. Click on the link below.